Good morning. Hope everyone is well. It's 8 o'clock. And here we go. Welcome. Greetings and welcome to our first inclusive faith community gathering. My name is Dave Miller. People tend to notice that I have a tracheotomy. That's okay. I've had it since 1994. You'll get used to it. Everybody does. And I'm so happy for the people who can join us live and later when the video is posted. Thank you. Greetings and welcome. The purpose of our gathering is not to create a new faith nor to replace any existing faiths, but rather to encourage one another to recognize and cultivate inclusive love and creativity within each our own cultures and faiths of origin. That's why we're doing this. We are going to follow a particular order in our gatherings, and I'm looking for feedback. This is our first time. Let me know what works. Let me know what doesn't work. And I'm going to punctuate each section of the gathering with the sound of a gong. Here, I got a gong here. Let's see if it... Yeah, it sounds like you can hear it. Okay. I'm going to try to do these gatherings the first Sunday of every month. I'm hoping that eventually I'm not the only one to be sharing as part of this. Hoping to include others. And the videos of the gatherings and shared insights will be made available through the website sacredbreeze.org. And I hope you have a chance to visit our website and explore it. And if you want to get email notifications of when we're going to do gatherings and when we start offering other services, sign up on the Connect page at sacredbreeze.org. And here we go. So we're going to start out with a community identity statement. It seems to me that's a good way to start. So let's start by breathing. I'm going to ask you to breathe a lot through this. I'm a meditation instructor and currently a licensed therapist in Georgia, so I have a way of doing things. We're going to do a lot of breathing. Breathe with our diaphragms. Just to get centered. To say, here we are. Here's our community identity statement. We are love-centered and inclusive. All who wish to be part of our community are welcome. Number 2, we celebrate Divine Spirit, source of all life and consciousness. We believe that Spirit is always with us, inspiring love, healing, reconciliation, community, and creative gifts. Number 3, we celebrate the inherent sacred worth of every human being and every living creature. Number 4, we celebrate our creative gifts. We develop and share our creative gifts for the benefit of ourselves and others. Number 5, we are a diverse community. We celebrate the diversity of humanity, life, and creation on this planet and throughout the cosmos. Number 6, we celebrate diverse faiths and traditions from which humanity draws meaning and inspiration. We lift up unconditional love and inclusivity in all faiths and traditions. Number 7, we are self-aware and we are resilient. We accept that as human beings we have limitations, we make mistakes, and our physical bodies will eventually die. Number 8, we are aware of predatory and destructive forces that work within ourselves and others, and therefore we maintain healthy boundaries for our own well-being and for the well-being of others. Number 9, we recognize that self-care is both our right and our responsibility. Our ability to develop and share creative gifts depends on maintaining our physical, our mental, emotional, and our spiritual health. And number 10, we aspire to encounter others with patience and compassion, using our creative gifts to cultivate love, healing, and reconciliation when and where we can. We're going to recognize the sacred spirit who unites us, regardless of our faiths and cultural backgrounds. We recognize that sacred spirit calling us to seek out and live inclusive, unconditional love. The voice of the sacred spirit can be discerned in all faiths and traditions. We recognize, accept, and share gratitude for the spirit who abides, who comforts, and who inspires love, healing, and reconciliation. We open our hearts and our minds to Divine Spirit, who inspires development and sharing of our creative gifts. So let's take a moment to recognize and be grateful for the Divine Spirit that abides with us and with all of humanity and all of creation. Okay. Now, we're going to lift up the needs of the community. Let's take a moment to just recognize our own challenges. Let's start with ourselves, recognizing our own challenges, be they physical, emotional, or spiritual. And as we recognize these challenges, let's allow ourselves to breathe and imagine healing grace flowing through us with every inhale. And with every exhale, we're sort of letting go of any negativity. Healing grace with every inhale. Relaxing and releasing with every exhale. We have challenges that are physical, maybe emotional challenges, maybe spiritual challenges. We'll just take a moment to recognize them and offer them up. Okay, now let's take a moment to recognize the challenges and suffering that others face and endure. We certainly know people we know and we love who have challenges in their lives. We're going to recognize that. And again, through our breathing, I like to imagine healing grace flowing as I breathe through the others that I recognize that are having challenges. I know we have community members who've suffered losses. We think about those families. We have community members who are or who are facing physical challenges, emotional, and spiritual. Let's allow our attention to move beyond ourselves. Allow ourselves to think of others, people we may not know, challenges in this world. Certainly the terrible wars that are happening around the world, conflicts, the suffering and death that's caused by that. Nearer to home, there's homelessness and there's suffering in that way. People who are suffering from addictions. You try to take it all in, it's kind of overwhelming. But that's okay, that's why we're breathing through it. We're just taking a moment to recognize it. And collectively allow our healing grace as we inhale and we exhale to hope for peace and healing and reconciliation for all. We're going to try to allow the suffering and challenges we recognize to increase our compassion for ourselves and for others. That's our goal in this. Again, we recognize there's things we just can't control, but we can still have compassion. We can still do that. Now let's take a moment to recognize with gratitude the strengths and the creative gifts within our community. There certainly are a lot of creative gifts here. Everyone has creative gifts. Let's take a moment to be grateful for our own strengths and gifts. We recognize things we do, the people we help, things we do that are creative and they bring us joy. And we'll take a moment to be grateful for the strengths and gifts that others share for our benefit and for the benefit of everyone. From close friends who help us take care of things, and for those of us who work and have an occupation, the people we work with, our creative gifts coming together to bring productivity and help others. Even to the artists we know and recognize, musicians. Let's just share some gratitude for the joy that comes from all the creative gifts that we recognize in ourselves and others. I have prepared a little video. It's only like 16 minutes long of insights, what I call inclusive faith insights. And I'm gonna share that video right now. So bear with me as I click the right buttons, hopefully. Hello everyone, welcome to Sacred Breeze Ministries First Community Gathering. For our insight today, I thought I would introduce Sacred Breeze Ministries and what I think we're all about. If you look at our website at sacredbreeze.org, you may notice that we're not specifically Christian, we're not specifically Buddhist. In fact, we're not specifically anything other than spirit-centered. Our goal is not to build a new faith. Our goal is to seek out and embrace the spirit of unconditional, inclusive love that is part of all faith traditions. All faiths and traditions have words and scriptures that embrace inclusivity and unconditional love. Words like chesed in Hebrew, ar-Rahim in Islam, Dharma in Buddhism and Hinduism, and grace in Christianity, and even in secular humanism. These words are used to characterize the inclusive unconditional love that is inherent to every interpretation of divinity, the universe, and within our human hearts. We encourage everyone to participate in each their own faiths and traditions as a reminder of the sacred spirit of unconditional inclusive love that connects us all. It's essential for the very survival of the human race, for every culture, philosophy, faith, and tradition, to lift up grace and inclusivity over exclusion and violence. Acts of exclusion, oppression, and violence are often attributed to individual faiths, but they're never inspired through the sacred spirit that gives life and love. Exclusion, oppression, and violence are rather inspired through greed and quest for power that uses faith as justification. Speaking of spirit, one might ask why this ministry is called Sacred Breeze. In many languages throughout the world, a single word is used to describe breath, breeze, and spirit as a source of life and breath in living creatures. In Hebrew, the word used is ruach. In Greek, it's pneuma. In Sanskrit, the word is prana. And in Tibetan, it's lung. In China and Japan, the words chi and ki are used to describe sacred energies that flow and sustain life. Sacred Breeze recognizes breath and breeze as the spirit that breathes life into the dust and into the clay and into the oceans, or brings forth life in abundance. Sacred Breeze also recognizes that the spirit does not exert control over human events or circumstances. Rather than exerting control, to borrow a phrase from Christianity, the Spirit inspires the hearts of people to experience and share love, peace, patience, kindness. And rather than grand demonstrations of miraculous manifestations, to borrow a phrase from Judaism, the Spirit uses a still small voice, recognizable to those willing to listen with open hearts. Now that we've explained how the name and the purpose of Sacred Breeze are spirit-centered, let's take a minute and explain the identity statement that we recited at the beginning of the gathering. Number one, well, okay, first of all, you may notice that our order of doing things is a little different than If you've gone to church, it's not the same. A Christian church anyway. If anyone's ever been to a meeting, a recovery meeting, or a mutual support meeting, you might notice that our structure is a little more like that. And that's why we start out with identity statement that expresses kind of what we all have in common here. So the first statement was, we are love-centered and inclusive. All who wish to participate, be part of this community are welcome. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Number 2, we celebrate divine spirit, source of all life and consciousness. We believe that spirit is always with us, inspiring love, healing, reconciliation, community, and creative gifts. I think a lot of this was explained earlier when we explained our purpose and why we're called Sacred Breeze. So let's go on to number 3. We celebrate the inherent sacred worth of every human being and every living creature. I think this is relatively self-explanatory as well. Sacred breeze that animates life is part of every living creature, making all life sacred. Number 4, we celebrate our creative gifts. We develop and share our creative gifts for the benefit of ourselves and others. You know, if you think about it, creativity is an aspect that seems to be neglected in most faith traditions. Just the word tradition kind of demonstrates a desire to ignore, or worse, suppress creativity. The reality is that every human being is given creative gifts. From connecting with others and nurturing and healing relationships and teaching, to science and art, to exploring and caring for nature and the universe, the spectrum of creative gifts in and among humanity is expansive. And just as cultivating inclusive gifts, inclusive love, is essential to the survival of the human race, cultivating creative gifts is essential as well. Our challenges are many, and our gifts are many as well. By cultivating our many gifts, we can meet those challenges and build a world where everyone has the opportunity to be healthy, happy, loved, and productive for the benefit of all. Number 5, numero 5, we are a diverse community. We celebrate the diversity of humanity, life, and creation on this planet and throughout the cosmos. Just opening one's eyes to the amazing expanse of beauty and life on this planet is enough to inspire a love for diversity. The varieties of foods, art, music, from all the different cultures in the world also is awe-inspiring and can inspire a love for diversity. In the past, words like tolerance and respect have been used to describe how people can get along in civil societies. At Sacred Breeze, tolerance and respect are not enough. We celebrate diversity. The diversity that makes each and every one of us unique and wonderful, and the diversity that comprises our humanity, our planet, and our universe. We celebrate diversity. Number 6, we celebrate diverse faiths and traditions from which humanity draws meaning and inspiration. We lift up unconditional love and inclusivity in all faiths and traditions. This also was described at great length in our opening questions. We encourage everyone to participate in each their own faith tradition as a reminder of the sacred spirit of unconditional, inclusive love that connects us all. Number 7, we are self-aware and resilient. This is where it starts getting interesting. We accept that as human beings, we have limitations. We make mistakes. and our physical bodies will eventually die. Now, for those who may think we are a bunch of starry-eyed hippies floating in a clouds of love, think again. The root of the word human is humus, or earth. With humility, we strive to remain grounded in the knowledge that our time in this universe is limited and precious. While we're hopeful in grace, we are also firmly grounded in the realities of this universe. Anyone who's ever been to a therapist or is engaged in recovery of any kind understands that acceptance is the key in the beginning of all healing and reconciliation. We humbly accept our humanity and strive every day for greater self-awareness. Number 8, we are aware of predatory and destructive forces that work within ourselves and within others. Therefore, we maintain healthy boundaries for our own well-being and for the well-being of others. We're not naive. We recognize that in addition to the healing and reconciliation we strive for, powerful forces are at work within ourselves and others that seek to control and dominate without any care for others. We seek mindful self-awareness and wisdom as we negotiate the complex landscapes in which we live. We exercise healthy boundaries where we need to. We respect the boundaries others place for their own health and well-being, and we carry on. Number 9, we recognize that self-care is both our right and our responsibility. Our ability to develop and share creative gifts depends on maintaining our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Too often, spiritual traditions are cited as a reason to neglect care for self. I'm reminded of the example of St. Francis of Assisi, who neglected his own well-being to the extent that he was crippled and in terrible pain toward the end of his life. He has been quoted as apologizing to his own body for the injury and neglect he submitted himself to. He thought he was doing this in response to his faith. But finally he recognized his body as a holy temple of spirit, deserving care. While sacrifice of self on behalf of others is a tradition that is honored, maintaining one's health and well-being is also recognized as an act of faith and sacrifice. Number 10. Finally, number 10. We aspire to encounter others with patience and compassion, using our creative gifts to cultivate love, healing, and reconciliation wherever we can. While it's true that boundaries and self-care are necessary, it's also true that boundaries and self-care can be exercised with patience, kindness, and compassion. We are reminded of our aspirations towards inclusive, unconditional love that can bring about healing and reconciliation. So with all that said, where do we go from here? If you want to be a part of this ministry, this community, congratulations, you already are. No obligations, no solicitations, no actions required. Sacred Breeze is a state of mind after all. Being aware of the gift and the sacred nature of life, cultivating compassion and seeking grace, and cultivating and sharing creative gifts are all part of our hope and our mission. Once again, our goal is not to create a new faith tradition, but to encourage people of all traditions to seek out inclusive and unconditional loving faith from within. The still small voice is still there for those with open minds and hearts willing to listen. In our next gathering, we will explore the so-called stages of faith and how faith is experienced as a process in which people and societies develop and mature. It should be fun and informative, so I hope you will come back again. Thank you very much. Oh my goodness. I did that whole meditation and nobody heard me. Well, I guess I lost everybody. We'll try again another time. Thank you all.